Well, hi, this is Dr. Steve Patty. Welcome back to our series on personal leadership, where we're thinking about how to pursue the kind of life you want to have. And if you've been with us for the past 5 sessions, you've been doing a lot of work. You've identified a growing edge. You've pushed yourself to stretch into your growing edge. You've thought about having a support structure to hold you to the work. And last time we were together, we talked about how to have the perspective of others, to get up on the balcony so that you can see yourself in your growing edge a bit more clearly. And today in this session, we're going to talk about why it is hard to move forward on your growing edge. You've probably experienced this already. You commit yourself to moving forward on your growing edge, and you might be really committed to that, but it's almost like sometimes there's an elastic band that when you push forward, it snaps you back to where you started. Or it's almost like you're dragging an anchor and you move forward as hard as you can, set sail off to the growing edge shores, but there's an anchor that you're just dragging along. It's really hard to move forward. There's some theorists out of Harvard University that use the metaphor of immunity to describe this phenomenon. That no matter how hard we try to move forward, there's almost like an immune system that's activated that keeps us from changing. So what do we do? What do we do about that? Consider, if you will, how your commitment to move forward is often undermined by a competing commitment that holds you in place. Let me give you a few examples. Let's say that your growing edge is to be more courageous, to have courageous conversations. But if we walked around following you all day, which we won't because that would be creepy, but if we did, we would see you being overly kind to people, telling people what they wanted to hear, couching what you said in words to soften it so that people aren't offended. So even though you are committed to having a courageous conversation, you're backing off of that. Why might that be so? Well, it could be that you're also committed to having people like you. So you have one commitment that lifts you up toward your growing edge. Have a courageous conversation. And another commitment, I'm committed to people liking me, that hold you back down. You see, you cannot hold both of those commitments simultaneously. They will cancel each other out. They're countervailing forces. Let me use another example. Let's say that you, for your growing edge, want to be open to people and listen to people with more curiosity. But if we were to follow you around day in and day out, we would see you cutting in on people's conversation, finishing people's sentences, waiting for people just to finish what they're talking about so that you can jump in with your opinion. So you're committed to listening with curiosity. That commitment lifts you up. But you may also be committed to being seen as competent. And that commitment holds you in place. Because you can't be curious and listening and also be so committed to being seen as competent at the same time. You won't make any progress. Well, let me use a third illustration. Let's say you've been working on having a stronger backbone, sticking with your decisions. That's your growing edge. But if we were to follow you around, we would see you be asking people all the time for permission. You'd be asking them to tell you what they think about your decision. You'd be consulting others because you're also committed to everyone feeling good about your decisions. Do you see how that works? A commitment you have lifts you up. I want a stronger backbone. And a competing commitment that I want everyone to feel good about my decisions that keeps you in place. It's almost like in each of these cases, you have one foot on the gas in your car, your growing edge car, and another foot simultaneously on the brake, holding you back. Now, one of the interesting things about a competing commitment is that they're not bad commitments in and of themselves. It's not bad to want people to like you. It's not bad to want to be seen as competent. It's not bad to want everyone to feel good about their decisions, about your decision, but it's your attachment to those commitments that make it very difficult to move forward in your growing edge. So what do? You just throw up your hands and go, I can't move, I can't make progress. Now, it's really interesting research, and our experience has confirmed this, that if you can do some experiments in the space of that competing commitment, it might help you renegotiate your relationship with the commitment. In other words, instead of the commitment having a hold of you, you can have a hold of that commitment, and that will allow you to move forward on your growing edge, to do an experiment. So in the first case, for instance, where someone is thinking, I want to have courageous conversations, but my competing commitment is that I want people to like me. There might be one instance where you walk in and give feedback to someone that you know will displease them. And then watch yourself, see if you can survive their disappointment. Now, an experiment is not an excuse to mistreat anyone. But if it's feedback that you actually need to give, then a great experiment might be to give that feedback even despite their disappointment, and then watch yourself and see if you can endure that. Or let's say if your growing edge is to listen with greater curiosity, but you have a competing commitment to look competent in all things by others. At some point in some conversation, experiment with just listening. Just listening, even if you know the answer. Just holding your tongue or asking questions alone and resisting the temptation to come in with the answer and just walking away, and watch yourself. See if you can handle it, if you can endure that. Or if your growing edge is to have a stronger backbone and you've also committed to making sure everyone feels good about your decisions, at some point, make a decision and stick with it without asking how people feel about it, and see if you can endure that. And the research says, and our experience has proven this, that if you do a series of experiments to see if you can endure that discomfort in your competing commitment, it won't totally take the commitment away. But instead of the commitment having control of you, you will have control of that commitment. And then you'll be able to move forward on your growing edge. So here's your task for this session. Think about what we would see if we were to walk around following you related to your growing edge. When you're not moving forward on your growing edge, ask yourself, what is the commitment, the competing commitment, that might be the countervailing force holding me back? And then design one experiment, or two experiments, or three experiments. Keep the experiments modest. Make sure they're just experimental. Even if they go poorly, you'll learn something about yourself. Make sure that you're treating people well in all of this, and see if you can renegotiate your relationship with that competing commitment so that you can move forward on your growing edge. Until next time, lead yourself well and lead others well.